It's Veterans Day. Jack Keith, J Dog on the boards. We are live, local, regional, and national. Hey, Alexa. Hey, Google, play the Pulse of an H. Our poll question up on X this morning at the Pulse of an H, J Dog. You wanted to know. We're going to find out. Do you have today off, Veterans Day? Yes or no? We're just curious. J Dog wants to know how many people have it off. We're here. We're doing the show live. We have a packed show for you. Also on YouTube, if you want to watch. You can watch the first hour live video as well at the Pulse of an H, our YouTube channel. J Dog will come back in a little bit because at 11 o'clock, CJ and you are going to have some fun in sports. Not a big scoring game last night in Green Bay on the football. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, you're not a big Monday I don't know who is. Hey, whatever you're doing, we're going to get an update on the only military and veterans campus of its kind in the country. Maureen Beauregard is going to have an update on Franklin, the military and veterans campus, part of Easter Seals, and of course, Veterans Count. We're going to get an update from several veteran advocates who do their thing year round. Renee Plummer will check in, Phil Taub, people like Marga Culp out there, probably doing something today for veterans. There's just so many wonderful people. I'm going to come back to the government shutdown and the politics. Senate, by the way, passing the measure to reopen the government, something Jeanne Shaheen was out in front of, along with Senator Maggie Hassan. But apparently Chris Pappas, Maggie Goodlander, and Stephanie Shaheen and Maura Sullivan, other people running for office here in New Hampshire in Congress, I guess they don't view Jeanne Shaheen as sort of the matriarch, the leader of the Democrat Party in New Hampshire anymore, because the Chris Pappas and Maggie Goodlander, they have a vote in the House now. They're going to vote against it because their leadership, placating to the far left, the Bernie Sanders, angry socialists, shut it down, keep people not paid, keep the federal workers not paid, keep the military not paid, keep the airports clogged up, don't pay federal workers, shut down the government. Oh, my goodness, we're going to come back to that. But on Veterans Day, I want to take a moment and thank all the people. I mentioned a few friends of mine like Renee Plummer and Phil Taub. We're going to hear from Tom Raffio, President and CEO of Northeast Delta Dental. And I just got to share some, this stuff is good news, despite all the political divisiveness. This is good news. And Tom Raffio shared this, for example. Their board meeting for Northeast Delta Dental with their board members yesterday voted again to fund veterans, the dental program, another $300,000 for 2026. And what that means simply is veterans who can't afford it and don't have coverage to the VA because the VA doesn't cover oral health. I don't know if you knew that. It's just a glitch in the congressional side. They can't fix it. Why? I have no idea. They can shut the government down and they can go 41 days, but they can't fix this. So if you're a veteran in New Hampshire and you need, you got an impacted, tooth or, infection, oral health surgery, we're not talking like a cavity. We're talking surgery. Tom's board is $300,000 again for their dental program. And all these dentists, these veteran-owned dentists, just this one example of good in our communities. They're doing these surgeries. So when you call Tom at 603-223-1300, 223-1300, you call on the top person, CEO, president, give him your name and number, and he'll have one of these dentist practices call you. And within 48 hours, especially if it's like an emergency situation, which many times some kind of an infection in your head can be, you're in there getting fixed. Yeah, no cost to you, the veteran. These are the things that matter. Veterans Count, part of Easter Seals. You look at what Phil and Julie Taub have done with Swim of the Mission. Easter Seals, part of, Veterans Count, part of Easter Seals. That program is phenomenal. And if you're a veteran, and Renee Plummer will amplify this message in the 10 o'clock hour, if you're a veteran out there and you need some support, it's not a handout, it's a hand up. Call Veterans Count. Call them. Call Veterans Count. And tell them what your needs are. It's not don't feel bashful. Don't feel if you served, let them serve you. That's what we raised the money for. 603-315-4354 is Veterans Count. 603-315-4354. It could be you got to fix something in your home, an appliance. Might need new brakes in your car that drives your kids around. 603-315-4354. And I told you about if you're a veteran and you need some oral health surgery or treatment, Delta Dental's got you covered. Tom's program, 603-223-1300. So out of the gate, we just gave you two really good examples of how veterans can get the service back after serving us all. And I do applaud restaurants out there that are offering discounts or meals for veterans on this day, Veterans Day. J-Dog, our poll question will have results for you of yesterday's question about the government shutdown. But there are businesses out there that are closed today in honor of Veterans Day. There are businesses out there that are open, regardless. The federal side, federal government, it is a federal holiday. We'll talk more about the meaning of Veterans Day, but to all those who have served and are in the military, I apologize on behalf of our politicians in Washington that you're not getting paid. I also apologize. Nothing I can do other than talk about it. If you're a civilian worker at the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard, I apologize. You haven't been getting paid. I applaud President Trump for getting a little worked up on the FAA controllers who've been working without getting paid. In some cases, overtime, TSA, all the federal workers that have been working. Thank you. And, I'm going to point out what I really believe about the hypocrisy and the politics over the government shutdown. And I said yesterday, kudos to Senator Jeanne Shaheen and Maggie Hassan, in particular, Jeanne Shaheen, for brokering with the other senators to vote to reopen the government. Because that's what this is about, is reopening the government. And they'll get a vote, and there'll be a debate on health insurance premiums and cost. But reopen the government. This is what Democrats used to tell us all the time. You never shut down the government over policy demands, policy differences, until really the socialist wave on the far left side of the Democrat Party, let's call it what it is, started to intimidate politicians like Chuck Schumer and others, saying, you fight, you cave, you let the government shut down. Doesn't matter how bad the pain gets. What the heck are you talking about? You want to talk about health insurance premiums, and health insurance are too high anyway, our healthcare costs. We should have an honest debate across the board on why health insurance is so damn expensive, whether you're getting public assistance or not. But you want to look the federal worker in the eye who hasn't been getting paid and is behind on their rent, groceries. We're talking survival here, folks. We're talking survival. You can talk about Bernie Sanders about 15, 20 million on their health insurance. What about the family that's got kids that are going to fourth grade today and they haven't been able to pay their mortgage or groceries in the last few weeks because they haven't getting paid? You want to keep the government shut down? And talk about hypocrisy. I get a very crystal clear question. I was saying to someone this morning, WMUR did a story. Stephanie Shaheen says she cannot support the shutdown deal brokered by her mother, Jeanne Shaheen. Well, she's not in the House yet, but she's running in the 1st District. And Chris Pappas comes out yesterday. He has a vote. The House will vote as early as Wednesday or Thursday this week on the bill to reopen the government. Pappas saying he can't vote for the deal that Shaheen and Hassan brokered. Maggie Goodlander, I can't vote for this. So you want to vote to keep the government shut down. Call it what it is. You want to vote to keep the government shut down. Now I get another question. I remember when I asked Chris Pappas, months ago on my show or weeks ago when he was in the U.S. Senate race now, that Jeanne Shaheen is not running again, of course. I said when Mamdani was running in New York City as the Democrat candidate before the election last Tuesday, I said, what do you think? Do you support him? Is he the future of the Democrat Party? And Chris Pappas said to me, and I'm paraphrasing on my show, we can probably pull the interview. His answer was, no, I am a New Hampshire Democrat. I am more moderate. I'm a New Hampshire Democrat. I'm in the mold of a New Hampshire Democrat, presumably really one of his mentors, if not the mentor, Jeanne Shaheen. That was the mold. Jeanne Shaheen. She is arguably the head of the New Hampshire Democrats by 100 miles. first female governor of New Hampshire, U.S. Senator, senior status in the U.S. Senate, Jeanne Shaheen, the number one Democrat family in New Hampshire, the Shaheens. The Sununu's of the Republican Party, the Shaheens. And Chris Pappas and Maggie Goodlander will say all good things about the Shaheens, but they won't follow her leadership because of the left side of their party. They're so terrified of the Bernie Sanders, of the Ocasio-Cortez. They don't want to upset that far liberal left side of their own party. So they'll forsake. Is Jeanne Shaheen the leader of the Democrats in New Hampshire, or is Bernie Sanders? And that's a question that no media will ask a Stephanie Shaheen. Wait a minute. Aren't you running because of your mother and all she did in public office? Yes, you're your own person, but she showed leadership here. Why would you vote to keep the government closed? And the real answer is they're afraid of the far left, just like Chuck Schumer was afraid of a primary from Ocasio-Cortez representative. All right, we'll take a quick break. Hey, Alexa, hey, Google, some commentary, 603-228-2080, live, local, national, regional as well on Veterans Day. We're going to come back with Maureen Beauregard talking about the only veteran campus of its kind in the country in Franklin, New Hampshire, to serve our veterans. It's up, running, and open. We're going to get a live update next on the Pulse of an Age. All right, cooler start to our morning on Veterans Day. Clear out there, but unusual day when my brother-in-law in Florida sends me a message. That's what happens when he gets older. You start talking about the weather. 35 degrees on the Gulf Coast, the west coast of Florida this morning. They're used to about 70 or 80 for a high. 35 this morning was 35 in Portsmouth. There you go. Cooler start to the morning. All right, so it's Veterans Day, and someone who, in my humble opinion, really has been really an outstanding leader and a sustained leader and sustained leadership on trying to advance care, respect, advocacy for veterans, but really what Easter Seals and Maureen Beauregard, the head of Easter Seals out of headquartered in Manchester, New Hampshire, but serving a broader area, Easter Seals, but their veteran services, veterans count, what they're doing in Franklin, New Hampshire at this military and veterans campus, and there are veterans staying and living there right now, is open. And I've been encouraging veterans, get in your car, call them, go visit, see what's there. Maureen's joining us live on Veterans Day. My sources tell me she's with a few good Marines. Maureen, thank you, thank you, thank you, because you're one of the real pillars here in our state, quietly leading. But we're looking for an update on Franklin, and thank you so much on this Veterans Day. Awesome. Yes, awesome. It's amazing the nonprofits that are going to be part. I know that Tom Raffio is coming up on all a bit, probably listening with Northeast Delta Dental. His board yesterday approved another $300,000 for 2026 for oral health care coverage and surgeries. But he, of course, supporting the Franklin campus. Maureen, what do you say? This is my challenge. What do you, and thank you, because as you said, the Marine, so, the birthday last night there, but you have veterans there living. You have this treat, you have facilities open, and it's an ongoing rolling program of more coming in Franklin, New Hampshire. But what do you say to a veteran who's listening, or a spouse of a veteran who's listening, saying, I wonder if I should check this out. Do I have to go through the VA? Do I have to go to a website? Can I just sort of go to the vetscount.org or look up military campus for veterans and military, Easter Seals, New Hampshire? How do I go? Can I just take a drive there? What do you say to a veteran who's listening, saying, I'd like to see what's there? I'm a little bit reluctant. I'm a little bit reticent because I don't want to ask for help. Other people need it more than me. What do you say to that veteran or spouse? Mm. Well, again, I thank you for the leadership. And if people want to get involved or help, maybe there's someone out there, a business that heard about Delta Dental being a part and other groups helping. How can whether they're a nonprofit or they want to donate, what's the best way to help the mission in Franklin so this grows? Right. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you on this Veterans Day. The number 603-315-4354 is Veterans Count 603-315-4354 or vetscount.org or Easter Seals, New Hampshire Military and Veterans Campus. So you get all the information. Go visit, see what's there. You served, let these people serve you. Thank you, Maureen. Well, well, thank back at you. Thank you. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Thank you, Maureen Beauregard, and the great job at Easter Seals. And the other thing I got to mention, I love about this and veterans count. Um, more than 90 cents of every dollar given, more than 90 cents, not 60, not it doesn't go through New Jersey and Connecticut and come back into New Hampshire. It's local, administered in Manchester, New Hampshire on Auburn Street. More than 90 cents goes to the veteran. There's a very small administrative cost. And what it goes to are these care coordinators, these people that work full time. So when that call comes in, they're going to call you back and say, "Hey, my name is Lisa or John. You contacted Veterans Count. What are you looking for? Tell me a little bit about yourself." Those people that work with the veteran and their family. I've met veterans where the Veterans Count coordinators simply helped the spouse navigate the federal bureaucracy of healthcare for veterans. Just help them navigate. Or it might have been an $852 check for, to fix a vehicle, a mortgage. The couple that the gentleman used to be in banking and he was so nervous and stressed out that with rent going up in his retirement, he and his wife couldn't afford to stay in their Concord apartment when the landlord raised it up closer to 4,000 from 2,500. Veterans Count was there to help find them an affordable quality apartment for being a veteran. And I think he's in a different part, but I think they're happy. This is the stuff they do. All right, take a break. John Decker, government shutdown, on to the House. Hey, go, hey, Alexa, play the Pulse of NH. Back in a moment. All right. When we come back, I'm going to tell you about some of the other wonderful nonprofits for our veterans, like Harbor Care and others on housing, Liberty House in Manchester in a moment. But John Decker, our own White House correspondent. So the Senate is moving this reopen the government bill back to the House to concur. We've seen some interesting politics right here in New Hampshire in terms of the two members of Congress and how they already said they're going to vote, can't support the Senate bill that Jeanne Shaheen of New Hampshire largely brokered. She used to be, John Decker, the unquestioned head of the Democrats in the state of New Hampshire. Now I'm not so sure. It might be Bernie Sanders. But John Decker, is the government shutdown coming to an end, or could this get muddied up, stalled in the House? And who are the winners? Who are the losers? I think the federal workers need to get paid, reopen the government. John Decker, take it away. Yeah, but it does raise this question because Schumer, the Democrats, so afraid of that far socialist liberal left side of their aisle, including the two members here in New Hampshire. I mean, Chris Pappas, John, I'm expecting you cover the White House. You've been doing this a lot of years, John Decker. Chris Pappas is running for the U.S. Senate. He's a member of the House. Maggie Goodlander, member of the House. Chris Pappas, Jeanne Shaheen, beyond a mentor. I mean, the number one matriarch figure of New Hampshire Democrats by far. First female to be governor, Jeanne Shaheen, former state senator, governor, long senior member of the U.S. Senate, broker in this deal to reopen the government. But already Chris Pappas and Maggie Goodlander in New Hampshire saying, we can't support this. Now, is that because they're being told they can't support it, or they're afraid of what in their own party? We think they just support Senator Shaheen and Hassan from New Hampshire, who voted to reopen the government. All right. Well, I appreciate it, John Decker. It sounds like it will go through, but again, Democrats are already lining up to vote no, so there's a thin line there. Johnson needs those Republicans to stay together, and maybe, yeah. So we'll see. Yeah, yeah. All right, John Decker. I want to I'd love to get you on a special segment just talking about the Supreme Court. A lot of these decisions are almost too much to keep up with. Thank you, John Decker, our own White House correspondent. So, before we go too far today on Veterans Day, and thanks for listening, J Dog on the boards, Jack Heath, Good Morning New Hampshire, The Pulse of an H, live, local, regional up into Maine now with more signal strength, AM and FM, but our Pulse app. Download the app. It really is a good app. Just go to Google Play Store, the Pulse of NH. J-Dog will have our poll results in a moment. Oh, you have them now. And then I want to talk about a few of these veteran groups. J-Dog, our poll question this morning at X at the Pulse of NH. Yep. Really? Yeah. Well, John Decker thinks it will happen. And I think he's right with the added pressure of President Trump on the Republicans. Reopen the government's the right thing to do. I'm sorry. It is absolutely the right thing to do. 41 days. All these Democrats that are acting holier than you know what, talking about health insurance. Talk to the younger or senior or middle-aged federal worker who hasn't been paid and tell them it's okay to keep the government shut down. For whatever reason you're saying politically, go ahead. Bernie, all of you, why don't you just go sit with a federal worker? Hey, it's Veterans Day. Why don't you tell a member of the National Guard or the military, it's okay you're not getting paid? Yeah, why don't you go have that conversation? Why don't you go talk to the spouse of a federal worker trying to, or both, a couple trying to keep a household or an apartment or condominium afloat? Why don't you go talk to them and say, hey, we think our cause is greater, so we think it's okay if you don't get paid and we keep the government shut down. And you know what? You're a bunch of hypocrites. You're a bunch of hypocrites because you're the same folks that used to yell, kick, and scream when the Freedom Caucus and Republicans talked about supporting a government shutdown because of budget cuts and spending resolutions and raising the, continuing resolution. No, you can't shut down the federal government. You can never do that. You can never do that and default on our obligations because of policy demands and differences. And you never do that until now. Because Bernie's got you all fired up. Socialist revolution coming to a theater near you. That's what this is about. The fracture within the Democrat. I laugh because a couple years ago, everyone talked about the fracture in the Republican Party. If Kelly Ayotte or Sununu or anyone is running for Congress in New Hampshire, hey, do you support Donald Trump? That was the big question. Local media and the gotcha question. Hey, you're running as a Republican. Do you support Trump? And make the Republican candidate answer the question. Yes, no, sometimes. But where are the media questions of Democrats? Hypocritical Democrats. Chris Pappas, when he was on my show a number of weeks ago when he was running for the Senate, I said, you got this candidate for mayor in New York City, socialist candidate. Do you support him? Jack, I'm a New Hampshire Democrat. Well, is that Jeanne Shaheen? Is that Maggie Hassan? Is that what you were saying? Maggie Goodlander, want to be a bipartisan member of Congress. Oh, really? Oh, really? You want to be bipartisan and moderate? I think Jeanne Shaheen showed what leadership is. I gave them credit yesterday, Shaheen and Hassan, for voting to reopen the government. You want to be moderate and bipartisan? Who are you kidding? Come on. You're playing politics with people's mortgage payments, with people's grocery bills. You talk about health insurance. What about the federal worker who hasn't been getting paid, who owes a health insurance premium? But they got to decide between groceries, utilities, mortgage, and rent. This is politics, folks. Someone's got to tell you what it is. And the real fracture right now, ask Chuck Schumer this morning. He just watched a bunch of Democrat senators abandon him. He's the leader in the Democrat. No, Shaheen, Sid Hassan, other leaders, Democrat senator. No, we're voting to reopen the government. That we've had enough of this crap. Schumer looks like a complete puppet. I mean, it's hilarious. I don't know if I'm sure he's going to get eaten by his own now. But this is politics, and it should be about reopening the government. You want to have a debate on health insurance, on Obamacare subsidies that were never supposed to continue, but you want them to continue? That's fine. Have the debate. Make the case. We got a midterm election less than a year from now in November. Former President Obama said to Republicans when they wanted to shut the government down, he said, you can't do that. You can't shut the government down. You can't blackmail a president. You can't over policy demands. Do it. You can't fight a law that passed constitutionally because you didn't win an election. Go win an election. That was the message of Barack Obama. Is he no longer, by the way, the leader of Democrats in this country? I guess not. Is Jeanne Shaheen the leader of Democrats in New Hampshire anymore? I guess not. Some commentary. I want to take a moment on the positive side of Veterans Day. There are some wonderful groups if you're looking to support. We just had Maureen Beauregard on from Easter Seals, Veterans Count, and the Franklin campus. I want to point out and give a high praise to the Liberty House in Manchester, New Hampshire. Contact the Liberty House. They provide transitional housing for veterans. But beyond that, they provide meals every single night. Nothing to do with the government shutdown. But probably now more than ever from their kitchen for veterans. Warm, good, good cooked food. The Liberty House. Harbor Care. I think they're headquartered down in Nashua. They've done a ton for transitional housing for veterans, Harbor Care and other stuff. Harbor Care down in Nashua, Liberty House. There are so many wonderful nonprofits scattered across our region for veterans. These are the glue. This is the glue that really is the difference between a veteran or their family getting some service and support for their service and not. And you know what? People don't say it enough. We have less than 1% serve in the military today. 340 plus million Americans who put on the uniform, whether they stayed on a base in America during their service or were deployed. It doesn't matter. They're a veteran. Whether they were on a ship and never left that ship in the Navy, on a base in North Carolina, National Guard, they served. 99% of us haven't and don't. Their family serves right along with them, by the way. A story that isn't told enough. When that veteran goes away, they serve right along with them. And I know families where it's not just the one parent, it's both parents who serve. Talk about a sacrifice. Missing birthdays, graduations, holidays, anniversaries, Thanksgiving, because they're serving. And they serve because they don't set the political policies or tone in this country or temperature. They just serve. And today we honor and respect our veterans. Some commentary, 603-228-2080. Speaking of one leader who does, Tom Raffio on deck next. All right, we have a lot going on, and enjoyed having Maureen Beauregard earlier. And I referenced Tom Raffio, President and CEO of Northeast Delta Dental, on Veterans Day because Tom doesn't like me to talk positively and good things about him and his team, but I need to for a moment because, and I'll let him have time here because he's going to update us. But year round, day to day, whatever he's supporting a road race in a community or a nonprofit, and through his radio show here on weekends, it's his board of people that serve on their board at Delta Dental, Northeast Delta Dental, that are supporting hundreds of veterans quietly, modestly, get the oral health surgery and coverage they need, what is not covered by the federal system at all. And no one seems to talk about it, but they take action. So I want to really thank you, Tom. You have an announcement. Your board met yesterday, but I really, really want to thank you on behalf of these veterans who call you, and within a day or two, they're being seen without the red tape. So, Tom, Veterans Day, thank you for you and your board, whoever they are. Thank you. Jeez. Yeah. Well, yeah. Right. But well, it's a great mantra and it's a great, really, philosophy. Some teams win because they have a good culture and they have a good philosophy in some companies. But I think, Tom, individuals can learn from your leadership and what you offer at Delta Dental, the same philosophy. I think people, one way to reduce some stress in their life and stuff that doesn't matter is get involved individually in a nonprofit, get involved in helping someone, do something when you have that 20 hours a week or 10 hours a week, get involved and help turn off the noise out of the national stuff in DC, the back and forth. I've seen so many mean and just unintelligent comments during this government shutdown from people on different sides of political. You just shut the stuff off, get involved, do what you can do is your message really to make a difference, whether you're volunteering. Speaking of food assistance, we have 26 food pantries in New Hampshire that go year round. There's one in your community. Find out where it is. Go in and ask. I mean, if Bon Jovi, the musician, the musical talent can do it, go in and say, hey, I live in Portsmouth. Do you need a volunteer at Gather? Maybe one day a week I can come in and help serve meals. Do it. Try it. And that's what I think you do. Yeah. Well, what Well, thank you to your board, Tom, and I'll leave you with this, and hopefully we'll catch you a little bit later too on this on Veterans Day. Tom Raffio, President and CEO of Northeast Delta Dental. Tom, I sometimes love some public figures or entertainers or celebrities or sports. And Andre Agassi, there was a great story about him and Steffi Graf, his wife, and between the two of them, I don't know how many major tournaments they won in professional tennis between the U.S. Open and French Opens and Wimbledon's and you name it. And he got rid of all the trophies and he just started raising his foundation to help kids in the Las Vegas area, kids, and try and help children. And the two of them are dedicated. And a friend of my sister's who wrote the article on them for Sports Illustrated stayed with them in their guest house for a little while. You go in their home, they don't have a trophy room. They don't have a big picture of him and Steffi Graf with 22 major championship trophies. They don't. And what they want to talk about is what they're doing to help people. And he doesn't have to do that. I think that's an amazing story. Yeah. 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 All right. Good stuff. All right, Tom. And keep working. Keep working. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, what do you do? You take a trophy with you? Or did you help an animal shelter or a food pantry? I mean, really, this stuff's out there. And during this government shutdown, we've seen it with the food pantry and the mobile food clinics in New Hampshire. That's what's good about this state and amazing. You can get involved without the political crap and make a difference. Hey, Google, hey, Alexa, by the Pulse of an Age Veterans Day, hour number 2, 10 o'clock coming up. Jack Heath, back in a moment.